3:42 in the morning is a funny time to learn that someone has decided your life belongs to them. Now it's quiet enough to hear your own heartbeat, dark enough that every sound feels personal, and late enough that whatever's knocking on your door definitely isn't bringing good news. I used to think HOA drama was a suburban problem, trimmed hedges and passive-aggressive emails about trash cans. Turns out I was wrong. Very wrong. Because when a self-appointed queen of community standards shows up at your isolated lakeside cabin before dawn, flanked by deputies quoting bylaws like scripture, that's not drama anymore. That's a declaration of war. The pounding on the door yanked me out of sleep like someone had grabbed me by the collar. For a split second, I just lay there staring into the dark, listening, the cabin doing its usual nighttime creaking wind, whispering through the pines, the lake brushing against stone like it always had. Then the door shook again, 3 sharp blows, flat-handed, angry, precise, like whoever was out there believed volume equaled authority. My phone glowed on the nightstand, 3:42 a.m. Sarah sat bolt upright beside me. "Remy," she whispered, already wide awake, already tense. "What is that?" "I hear it," I said, swinging my legs onto the cold floor. "Stay here." I pulled on a flannel, the fabric rough and familiar, and moved through the cabin on instinct. The air smelled like old wood smoke and pine sap, comforting, grounding. Outside, the night was pitch black, until a flashlight beam cut through it, and a voice followed, sharp, shrill, way too awake for that hour. "Cabin inspection. Open the door immediately. This is an emergency HOA inspection." I actually stopped walking. An HOA. Out here. We were a mile of dirt road and a couple hundred vertical feet from the nearest subdivision. You expect coyotes, maybe a lost fisherman, not an HOA president with insomnia. Sarah patted up behind me, tying her hair back. "Did she just say HOA?" "Sounds like it," I muttered, at 3:42 in the morning. "I know you're inside," the voice barked. "I can see a light. You are required to submit to inspection under Section 12 Emergency Aesthetic Review Protocols." The way she said it, rushed half memorized, told me she'd skimmed those words once and decided they made her powerful. I eased over to the side window and lifted the curtain just enough to peek out. There she was, Bethany Reed, president of the Clearwater Bluffs HOA, self-styled guardian of mailboxes, meeting minutes, and everyone else's business. Standing on my porch in a floral robe and fuzzy slippers, hair barely contained by a plastic clip that had clearly given up earlier in the night. Under one arm, a thick folder. In her free hand, a piece of paper she kept slapping against my porch post like it was a warrant. 2 deputies stood behind her. One young, shifting awkwardly, breath puffing in the cold. The other older, arms crossed, posture screaming, "I did not sign up for this." Sarah leaned in beside me. "Fantastic," she whispered. She brought backup. Bethany's voice climbed another octave. "This cabin has been reported for multiple violations affecting community standards, lake visibility, and nighttime light pollution. It falls within our 3-mile aesthetic jurisdiction." There it was, her favorite word, viewshed. My grandfather bought this land before Clearwater Bluffs was even a rumor. Built the first version of this cabin himself, log by log. But in Bethany's world, if she could squint and see something from her cul-de-sac, it belonged to her committee. Fear flared in my chest, then cooled into something steadier, heavier. This wasn't spontaneous. She'd been circling us for months with anonymous letters and friendly reminders. This was escalation. I flipped on the porch light and watched her flinch as warm yellow flooded the scene. She spun toward the younger deputy and pointed like she'd caught me committing a felony. "See excessive lumens. That light is visible from the cul-de-sac. It destroys the night ambience." We were a mile and a half away, but facts were optional accessories to Bethany. I cracked the door and stepped into the gap. Cold air curled around my ankles, carrying damp moss and lake water, and a cloud of too sweet perfume. "Bethany," I said evenly. "Deputies." Her eyes widened. She'd expected a wild squatter, not a calm man in flannel. "You are in violation of multiple HOA provisions, Mr. Cole," she snapped. "Unauthorized structural modifications, non-compliant lighting, and an aggressively rustic aesthetic." "I don't live in Clearwater Bluffs," I said. "You know that." She thrust the paper toward my face. "As of last month, the board voted to extend our aesthetic jurisdiction to all properties within a 3-mile visual radius." Behind her, the younger deputy cleared his throat. "Ma'am, like I said on the way up." She silenced him with a flick of her wrist. "Officer, you're here to maintain order, not question HOA policy." That's when Sarah stepped forward, arms crossed, voice calm and razor sharp. "Your bylaws stop at the county road," she said. "This parcel predates your HOA by 42 years. And your attorney already received that letter. Bethany snapped her head toward Sarah. And she's my wife, I added, and the land attorney who wrote it. That moment, just a flicker uncertainty cracked through Bethany's certainty. Then anger filled the gap. Well, she said voice tight letter or not, the community has expectations. She threatened fines, liens, legal action, words meant to scare people who didn't know better. I'd spent my career designing systems that handled pressure. Pressure only works when the structure is weak. This conversation is over, I said. It's 3:42 in the morning on private land. I closed the door, not slamming it, just reclaiming it inch by inch. You haven't heard the last of this, she shrieked. I will protect this community if it kills me. That's what worries me, I muttered. The next morning, the quiet felt fake brittle. Sheriff Marcus showed up just after sunrise, coffee-dark eyes, tired lines deeper than usual. This isn't her first land grab, he told us. 4 complaints in the last year. Same playbook. Paperwork, pressure, intimidation. Then came the twist, the reason she'd chosen us. A developer. Lakeside Reimagination. She'd filed a petition 6 months earlier claiming our cabin was abandoned. 11 years abandoned. My grandfather died 10 years ago. If no one objected, the HOA would have absorbed our land on paper. That's when everything clicked. The notices, the drones, the volunteers with clipboards. It wasn't about light fixtures. It was about theft. Once we filed the objection, the dominoes started wobbling. Bethany escalated anyway. Fake complaints, emergency calls, volunteers trespassing, drones hovering like mechanical wasps. Until the night she crossed the final line. Bolt cutters, floodlights. A forged demolition order dropped by drone stamped ridiculous criminal. That was the moment authority showed up for real. Sheriff Marcus' deputies' bright lights cutting through Bethany's fantasy like truth through fog. She screamed. She declared herself the HOA. She tried to seize control with noise and paper and metal. And then finally she was restrained, escorted, removed from the world she thought she owned. The forest breathed again. Dawn came soft and quiet. No drones, no notices, just birds testing the air. Later I found one of her hair rollers near the woodshed, pink plastic absurd. I burned it in the fire pit and watched it melt into nothing. That was the lesson, I think. Power doesn't come from titles or paperwork or how loud you shout at 3 in the morning. Real authority has boundaries. And the moment someone tries to erase yours, that's when you learn exactly how strong the law can be. If you're willing to stand still and let it work. So here's the question. Where's the line between enforcing rules and becoming a tyrant? And how many people get bullied simply because no one pushes back? Drop your thoughts in the comments, especially if an HOA has ever tried to claim something that wasn't theirs. And if you've got your own story of standing your ground, I'd love to hear it.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.